This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Let's talk about the other piece of business on TV here. We see Triple H, Stephanie, and Austin team up to take on the Hardys and Lita, which winds up with Lita pinning Stephanie after a moonsault. And Austin absolutely killed Lita after the match with chair shots and stunners. This is a lot, Jim. I mean, I understand we're trying to get him over as a heel. He beat up an announcer on Thursday and there's blood everywhere. On Monday, he's destroying ladies with chairs. This is a lot.
We were trying too hard, Conrad, obviously. We're pulling out all the stops. There was nothing that we weren't willing to do, seemingly anyway, to help Steve get over as the villain. But no matter what we did, beating up his good old buddy, the chubby announcer, and leaving him a bloody mess, taking one of the most popular females ever on the roster in Lita, and then nailing her the chair shots and the stunners and all that stuff. Nothing was off limits, apparently, but it was trying too hard. We realized early on that we were swimming upstream, and it was going to be very daunting to get Steve to the position that he wanted to be as the top heel. And the top heels, but you got to remember, Conrad, we've talked about this too before here. The heel qualities include having enough heat on them that you will pay your money to drive to the arena to watch them get their ass whipped.
Right.
So I just checked all the boxes of why it wasn't going to work. Nobody's going to pay their money to come to Raw or whatever, house show, live event, or whatever you want to call it, and and see Austin get his ass whipped. They're not mad at him. As much as they probably were uncomfortable with my little angle or stuff like the Lita situation, they still weren't angry enough at Steve to turn on him. And so what else could we do? If you're in my position, or you're sitting next to the chairman on most days, what do you do? What would you do if he says, we're going to go with this and we're going to do all we can to make Steve a villain? We didn't have a cutoff date. Well, if we don't get it done by SummerSlam, we'll wash our hands of it and move on. Conrad, there's no way out. There's no right answer to that question I just asked you. What would you do? I don't know.
I can't believe it. 20 years ago today when this one happened. Of course, this is the follow-up from WrestleMania 17, which we just talked about. And it's clear the WWE has won the wrestling war. They've bought out WCW, and they're not really purchasing ECW, but they've effectively inherited it. And Steve Austin, of course, famously turned heel at the end of the biggest WrestleMania ever. And unfortunately, The Rock is left to do a movie as well. In hindsight, this has got to be right up there with Austin's biggest regrets. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, probably in hindsight. He was hell-bent on it. And as we've discussed, I was just as hell-bent going the other way. But I've told you what Vince said. JR, he wants to do it real bad. He thinks it's going to work, and we owe it to him. So I think that was after I heard that explanation, my pushback was less. So it was a critical time for us because, first of all, in your lifetime, your wrestling lifetime, shelf life, you're not going to have two baby faces simultaneously in your company. They have the impact and the star power of Stone Cold and the Great One. You're just not. You wish you could, but you can't. Those guys are not. They're naturals. They just come along every now and then. To lose them both from the babyface side of the roster, in hindsight, is devastating.
Right.
So we were to say were you guys scrambling? I'd say yes, because you can't. Those two guys I just mentioned are irreplaceable.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.